Right guys, my name is Frank, and yet another month has went past, so you know what that means. Yep, it is time for a brand new Forza Horizon 3 DLC. Now, as soon as I seen the trailer for the brand new Rockstar Energy car pack, I was very hyped indeed. So to try and showcase that hype to you guys, I am going to do a massive review of all of the cars in this video. Now this is going to be a monthly trend every DLC, and the series name is What Does Frank Think, as you'll see in the title. I kind of wanted to put my own spin on like a review title, because if it's just like Rockstar Energy car pack review, bit boring innit? It's always nice to have your own little spin on things, so that is what this series is all about. What Does Frank Think is a big, high quality review series. But the only thing that I ask from you is to share the video around. By doing that, it helps the channel grow, it helps it thrive, therefore meaning more content for you guys. Now I just want to stress before we start the video that these are my personal preferences on these cars. If you agree with me on the cars, then that's obviously great. If you disagree with me on the cars, then that is up to you. But please, I'm begging you here, don't be a dick about it in the comments. Respect other people's opinions. But anyway, let's get this started by checking out quite a controversial car which Bentley have made. The Bentayga is probably the definition of a Marmite car. A lot of people love it and a lot of people hate it. I personally think it's a classy looking SUV with a lot of presence. There is no way in hell that means I'm calling it a beauty. It's more like a beast. A beast which just happens to be a toff at the same time. Alright Disney, come at me. Give me what you got. The headlights are the worst thing by far. It makes the whole front end look like a toad that's on a marijuana trip. The ship deck, interior, is another case entirely. This is where the traditional like a surf feeling kicks in, thanks to you being surrounded in what the Big B does best, top notch cabins. The leather, the wood, all the shiny trim, and of course the extremely ludicrously priced £130,000 clock. That's £130,000 added on to the already stupid cost of the base car itself, which is £187,000. That's freaking madness! But to be honest, if you could afford one of these things, there's a good chance you won't be having spam for your dinner every night. So the big Bentley has a 6-litre twin-turbo W12 motor pumping out 599 horsepower. Come on, really? Could you not get up to 600? And an impressive 663 foot-pounds of torque. But it kinda needs that because it weighs a whopping 5,340 pounds. Who's ate all the pies? Who's ate all the pies? Who's ate all the pies? But considering the weight of it, it does actually get to 60 pretty damn quick for a big thing like this. 4.3 seconds to be exact. And it surges on to a top speed of 193 miles an hour. That's only a few off of its little brother, the Continental GT. Now I must admit, I am not a fan of the sound of this car. It honestly doesn't really sound like a car. It sounds more like a bloody transit van. You can hear the twin turbos in the background just crackling away. It's like no other turbo I've heard before. It kind of reminds me of those poppin' candy chocolate bars I used to have as a kid, but with a bunch of jingling keys thrown in there too. Ugh. It's a very low tone and dull sound, which I presume that it's meant to be this way in order to create a more stress-free, non-assault on the ears type of atmosphere. It just sounds like a dying butler trying to do that one last thing to help out, but can't, because he's 96 and you shouldn't be a butler at that age anyway, god damn it. Onto the handle in front, and to be honest, I don't really know what you would expect in here. It's a Bentley SUV. Enough said, it shuffles and wiggles around more than fucking LMFAO. Side note, please come back, you were brilliant. Its speed, you may as well call this thing the Bentley pendulum, because that's all it wants to do when attacking the bends. Spin its arse around in a very ungentlemanlike manner. And the brakes, my god. I've seen Comets which can stop faster and more controlled than this. But I know what you're thinking. Frank, simmer down man. The Bentayga, side note, yet again, what the fuck is that name, seriously? It's about enjoying the high life experience on a day-to-day business. Going shopping at Waitrose to show everyone that you can actually afford the shit that's in there, and most of all, to go golfing. The Bentley's holy grail. So next up is a classic 70s Aussie muscle car, which I never thought would get under my skin as much as it actually has. It's the 1972 Ford Falcon XA GT HO. Long ass name, I know. We've been getting a lot of Falcons in previous DLCs, but this is by far my favourite. I actually strangely like it in dark brown with the matte black bonnet. It's a cool retro muscle look which works. The fact that it's a 4-door as well makes it even more cool in my opinion, but the back is where it's at for me. It's no Jaguar F-Type, but the way it goes from being all snarly and angry at the front to a more welcoming and handsome rear end. Hop inside and the cabin screams 70s muscle, but in a good Aussie way. A massive wood outline wheel with a giant e-brake and hood lever underneath, a wooden centre console, and a big boxy dashboard. Not a massive fan of the white leather though. Under the bonnet lays a 5.7 litre V8 pumping out 410 horsepower, 364 foot-pounds of torque, and the car as a whole weighs 3,461 pounds. And it can get that weight to 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, and it has a top speed of a very surprising 175 miles an hour. It has that deep, grumbly, shouty V8 sound which we all know and love, whether it be from the movies or from other muscle cars of the era. I love its sizzles and crackles when moving through the rev range. It's like a freshly opened bottle of Coca-Cola. Hearing all the little bubbles pop never gets old. Compared to most classic muscle cars, the Falcon has a surprisingly low amount of body roll. As to be expected though, brakes and handling aren't the Aussie's strong point. Far from it actually. It's more of a low gear, slow speed drift tank. I would keep the XA as a glorified cruising car. Lighten it a bit, stiffen up the suspension and anti-roll bars, and voila, an improved Falcon recipe right there. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but it sounds like a flock of GTR fanboys. Well, if that is the case, then they are going to be very happy with the next car that I have lined up. Now, I personally wouldn't class myself as a fanboy of the GTR, but I do like certain variants. For example, the R34 Z-Tune and the brand new 2017 GTR. But the one that's coming up right now is the grandfather to the lot of them, the R31. Now I know this is a Japanese car, but to me, I see a little bit from other regions in there as well. For example, an Audi Quattro, a Ford Sierra Cosworth, and a Mustang Fox body. The rear end though has to be the best of the package. Get your mind out of the gutter. We see the forever familiar 4 circular rear lights, and a clean, almost ducktail spoiler on top. Inside, it's all typical late 80s Japanese style. Plastic on plastic, but I think it works for this. It's simple, and everything is where you need and expect it to be. I especially love the somewhat bucket seats, and a peculiar red object, which I presume is the bonnet unlatch lever. And finishing up with one of the most basic steering wheels ever. But that's kind of refreshing seeing a steering wheel only having one sole purpose these days. Steering. No flappy paddles, no radio volume button, etc, etc, etc. In a way, it's kind of like the car's screaming out, yeah, I might be a basic bitch, but I can provide a good time like nothing else. This particular basic bitch has a 2 litre turbocharged straight 6, pumping out 206 horsepower, 181 foot-pounds of torque, and it has an overall weight of 2,965 pounds. 0 to 60, 7.5 seconds, and it has a top speed of 154 miles an hour. Now I know this is going to sound a little bit far-fetched, but in terms of the noise, imagine if a T-Rex had a real crap day at work, came home to a nagging wife, the kids were going nuts, and to top it all off, there's a leak in the house. The R31's exhaust note is roughly what the T-Rex's cry for help would sound like. It's truly great having another rear drive Skyline in the game now, alongside the 2000 GTR. Since it's not the fastest thing on the planet, you're not scared to just boot it and hang on for the ride. What a ride it is! No dirty jokes please. I don't think I've ever driven a car in this game with as low amount of power, which is as charming and full of character through the bends. The closest thing that comes to mind is the ND Mazda MX-5, or dare I say it, the Morgan 3-wheeler. It may look all plain Jane on the outside, but what it can do to you on the inside is incredible. Yes, there is body roll, but that just adds to the experience of, quite frankly, not giving a shit about performance numbers and just having a ball. Taking a word out of Chris Harris's book, it's mega. You can even hold some sizable slides if you're truly giving it some, without it ever wanting to spin. Please someone phone me a doctor, because I've got petrol pumping through my veins for this belter. So to much of my surprise, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there as well in the Forza community, we've got two brand new additions to the game from those crazy Swedes. And the first one is a crazy sky blue rocket wagon, otherwise known as the V60 Polestar. Now, a lot of folks say that modern Volvos are the best looking cars on the road. I personally disagree because Jaguar, they're a good mix of under the radar and chic. For example, the V60 Polestar has the bright blue paint job with an aggressive front end, big rims, split roof spoiler, fat dual exhausts, but it provides a cover for the person that doesn't want too much attention when they drive. The badge and the body type. Non-petrol heads will simply look on thinking it's another run-of-the-mill estate car, but we all know it's something far more special than that. Just like the Bentley, interiors have always been a strong point for Volvos, and that is no different here with the V60. The Polestar comes with almost Tron-like seats, both front and rear. A feature which I particularly like is the so-called floating dashboard, because as you can see, it's actually got a hollow space behind it. It's not the flashiest interior in the world, but for a family wagon, it does just right in terms of quality and stirring up a fizz. And obviously, I can't go without mentioning the fact that you can blast down the road, kill in the bends, all with an IKEA wardrobe in the back. But this ain't your ordinary family wagon or family car, because under the bonnet, it has a 3-litre straight 6, pumping out 346 horsepower and a walloping 368 foot-pounds of torque. That is pretty damn impressive from what is basically the grandfather stereotype car. And yet again, to back up the fact that this might not be the car you want to do a sudden acceleration on with the kids in the back, it gets from 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, and it has a top speed of 168 miles an hour in a Volvo. I know this may sound as if I've had too many cans of cider, but the exhaust note on the Polestar takes me back to the old Aston Martin Vanquish S. It has the same sense of ferocity and howl to it. It even spits flames on the downshift. Yet again, this is a Volvo estate. The turn-in is truly mental for a car of this type. I might even go as far to say that it gives a sensation of a larger wagon version of the Mitsubishi Evo 10. I'm not even kidding. I even drove them back to back to make sure, and my statement still stands. There is literally no understeer whatsoever, which is pretty damn shocking considering the weight of the thing. It just grips and grips and grips. It's like a tiger digging its claws into its target and not letting go until the job's done. There's not really any way that you can upset this car, unless you rip the e-brake or just go full crazy mode into the bends. It's dedicated to its work, like a loyal employee. It stays for the overtime, it's looking to impress, and it achieves that in spades. So we've seen a non-so-stereotypical Volvo from the modern age right there, but now we're going to be looking at a one of yesteryear for the gentleman. And that would be the 1972 1800E. At the front, the grille makes it look a little bit like a bottom feeder fish, and the rear lines along the arches reminds me of fins. They should have called this thing the Volvo 1800 Fishy. I still think it's a clean classic though. And of course, Roger Moore drove one in the TV show The Saint. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. Apart from what is quite possibly the longest accelerator pedal I have ever seen, the 1800E's interior is relatively straight to the point. There's a little bar for the passenger to hang on to if things get a little bit frisky, and the gear knob wouldn't look out of place on a snooker table. And wood, glorious wood. This Saint has a fuel-injected 2-litre engine with 130 horsepower, 130 foot-pounds of torque, and an overall weight of 2,706 pounds. It also drags itself from 0 to 60 in 9.6 seconds, and it has a top speed of 114 miles an hour. Ah, Europe in the 1970s. What a nostalgic sound. The low-pitched gargle and the fact that it sounds like a kettle when it's boiled. It's a fun sound, like a tiny dog growling. It's meant to be a threat, but it comes off as being cute as hell. It's sad to say that the steering takes its bittersweet time to get the lump of Swedish lead turned, and it's pretty damn numb too. You want body roll? You got it. Or at least I think that's how the classic AC/DC line goes. But anywho, this is like a luxury IKEA sofa. Whereas other Volvos can store one, you can actually drive one here. So it may not handle very well and it may wobble around a fair bit, but it's oozing in character and it just wants to make you smile. Just like it's doing. If you like classic European cars or even cars in general, even though it doesn't provide breakneck speed or track focused pinpoint handling, you'll be rewarded with a car full of charm, and ultimately you will grow a massive grin from ear to ear when you step behind the wheel. Definitely check it out. So from a slow but very fun little Volvo to an absolute mentalist road going race car. Of course, I am talking about the radical RXC Turbo. Despite it looking great in nearly every colour available, I'll take the exposed carbon fibre any day. I'm not normally a big fan of these body-styled road-going race cars. I prefer the likes of the BAC Mono, Caterham R500, Xenos E10S, but I'm making an exception this time around because the RXC has shovels full of character. To me, it's the perfect combination of the Batmobile and a car from the Burnout series. Please make another game. From the oven tray, front splitter, the awesome stickers dotted around, a back spine, which just like the TVR Sagaris, has been hit by a crazy man with an axe. And there's one more thing that I can't really put my finger on. Wait, I can put my finger on it. I can put a whole fucking house on it. That wing though, Jesus. On the inside, the wheel kinda looks like they ripped it off a bumper cart from a carnival. There's also a sturdy racing harness to keep all your flabby parts at bay. Totally not directed at me there. And a fire extinguisher below the dash, because that's always comforting. Now, something I didn't actually know until I was looking up the facts about this car. The little radical shares the exact same 3.5 litre Ford EcoBoost V6 from the 2017 Ford GT. It's obviously been detuned though to give 454 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque in a car which weighs 2,072 pounds. 0 to 60 will be here and gone in 2.6 seconds, and you'll travel on to a top speed of 186 miles an hour. At around 2000 RPM in third gear, dump the throttle and the car becomes a grizzly growling bear that just wants to pick a fight. He starts off all talk, but then when 4000 RPM rolls around, that's when shit goes down. All claws brawling, and then when he's let loose and calms down, he lifts off the gas, he burbles and breathes, and probably says, "Bugger off, I've got better things to be doing." I think you can tell I like the sound of this car, but my god, it's got nothing compared to the handling. It's a radical, so handling is just sort of their thing. But the one thing that I find quite funny is that there is so much steering lock that your character's wrists in the game look like they're ready to break. Seriously, look at that shit. All jokes aside though, if you're even a whiff of a fan of cars and you love storming down a gorgeous ribbon of road in a proper driver-focused vehicle, then the RXC is your match made in petrolhead heaven. Thanks to the extreme aerodynamic bodywork and that wing, it sticks to the road as if the tyres were wrapped in super glue. That's not to say if you're being too much of a cock behind the wheel that it won't step out of line, but when it does, it's surprisingly fixable, which is very rare in a road-going track toy. But perhaps the most impressive thing is the way you can carry speed through the bends, which simply boggles the mind. You feel as if you're trying to recreate Jeremy Clarkson's face when he first drove the Ariel Atom, but with a full fixed roof and protection from the elements. It's astounding, triumphant, magnificent. It's pretty. No, Frank, don't. Don't make a radical pun. You're better than that. So we're on to the second last car of the pack, guys, and if you've ever looked up domination in the dictionary, I think you'll find this car's name right next to it, because that's all it does. It rips up the terrain, it jumps for miles, it's an absolute batshit machine. This is the 2014 Ford F-150 trophy truck. For motorsport purposes, the F-150 has everything you need. Huge wheels with 2 spares, incredibly complex suspension, and a plethora of high-end lights to keep it going through the darkest of nights. Oh, and how could I forget? Many sponsors, each adding 20 horsepower. Besides the handbrake looking like a 1980s car radio aerial, the interior shares the same go faster for longer purpose as the exterior, with many buttons which do many things. 2 info screens for the driver and co-driver, and of course, some more sponsors! So the big blue oval beast has a 7.5 litre V8, cramming in 850 horsepower and a whopping 690 foot-pounds of torque. But just like the Bentley Bentayga, it kinda needs that power to wallow about, because it weighs 6,250 pounds. That is even more than the Bentley. But despite the weight, it can actually get to 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, and it has a top speed of 147 miles an hour. You get the impression that the engine in this is like a spoiled child, never shutting up until it gets what it wants, but then still doesn't shut its pie hole. If you like your ears bleeding 24/7, then this is the vehicle for you. And to make it worse, it only has 3 gears, so it will be brapping right off the rev limiter at 150 miles an hour. Not my cup of tea. Head exploding noise aside, when you let it do what it does best, it's a whole heap of fun. It makes you feel like a Goliath, and all the other puny cars on the road are the little Davids. It's by far the most go anywhere, do anything car in Horizon 3 so far. Dunes, rainforests, oceans, it will eat them up like it was a doner kebab on a drunken Saturday night out in town. Speaking from experience on that one, trust me. So in true Hollywood fashion, just like Star Wars Rogue One, I have made you wait to the very end for the best bit. Or in this case, the best car. It's a car for years I've been dying just to come into a game, and it is finally here. It's magnificent, it is drop dead gorgeous, it is the BMW i8. This is one of the most unique and cool looking cars of the past few years, whether it's the futuristic blue outlines around the iconic front grille, side skirts or rear bumper, which I'm sure a lot of you know looks like it's eating a Porsche 911, or the fact that it looks like it's moving even when it's standing still, thanks to the amazing aerodynamic bodywork, with almost wave-like rear arches and its mantis pincer sloping roofline, which both just happen to connect at the air-flowing rear lights. And yes, those sensational butterfly doors. Stepping inside and we are greeted with one of the best interiors ever fitted to any car in my opinion. The word sedate was obviously not on the minds of the designers who made it. Everything just shouts, "Look at me!" and the two-tone trim is mwah! It's beautiful. The i8 has a very interesting layout in terms of its powertrain, because in the middle it has a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine to send power to the rear wheels, and an electric motor at the front to power the front wheels. All of that combined totals up to 357 horsepower, and all you stoners get ready, 420 foot-pounds of torque, and an overall weight of 3,380 pounds. So she is quite a heavy bitch for a sports car, but that is obviously due to the two motors. But saying that, she can actually get to 0 to 60 very, very quickly, 3.6 seconds, and she'll go on to a top speed of 199 miles an hour. Seriously? Not 200? Come on, BMW, what are you doing? Now, the sound is always quite a controversial thing in hybrids. They basically sound like they're flatlining all the time. But in the i8, the turbo makes it sound like a spaceship, and the petrol engine unleashes that familiar BMW growl, especially near the top end of the revs. But yet again, it does sound a bit more bland and more neutral than, let's say, an M4. So just like the V60 Polestar, the turn-in is incredible, and yet again, there is no understeer whatsoever. It just flows from bend to bend like a wave, just like the aerodynamics flow like a wave. The steering has just that perfect blend of feel and heaviness, and it also feels light through the wheel. And for it being an all-wheel drive car, the rear end at speed is surprisingly lively, and it just wants to kick round, but not in a violent way. It's politely suggesting to you that it's in the mood to fool around a bit. In terms of when you get a full slide going, now this is high praise. It feels pretty much like an Audi R8 in terms of controlling the drift and balance. It's very easy to pull off. It's a forgiving car to slide, and I'd say it's in the top 3 easiest all-wheel drive cars to drift in Forza Horizon 3. Was it worth the wait for the i8? You're goddamn right it was. Now go out there if you haven't done already and drive it. You will not be disappointed. So that is it, all over and done with for this month's DLC pack, guys. A very, very good DLC pack in my opinion. There was a lot of variety, which is always great in a Forza game, because you had a trophy truck, you had a hybrid sports car, you have the crazy Swedish Volvos, and you've got a road-going race car in the form of the Radical. Great diversity. I'm really pumped for next month's pack, because I don't know if you've been seeing this around Twitter or on Facebook, but apparently there was a massive leak on the PC version in terms of DLC cars, and let's just say a few cars that I have been dying to come into the game are coming in. So thanks to whoever done that. I'm sorry that I'm actually really sorry for the guy that's actually freaking losing his job for it, because yeah, that fucking sucks, seriously. I don't know what happened. I think a file get leaked or something, and we basically know a lot of the DLC cars which is coming, so thanks, but I'm sorry to hear that they're letting you go, man. Hope you find another place somewhere soon. But apart from that little tidbit of information there, let me know your favourite car or top 3 favourite cars from the January or Rockstar Energy car pack in the comment section below, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.